Hello friends, welcome to Geeky Rabbit. In the last section, we saw about the software development lifecycle. So in this section, let us see something about the software testing lifecycle. So when it comes to software testing lifecycle, it is the lifecycle which is similar to the software development lifecycle, and we'll be discussing it. So in today's section, what we'll be seeing is that what the software testing lifecycle is, and we will be learning about the different stages of software testing life cycle, and also we will learn about the activities and the deliverables which are related to every stage of the STLC. So the basic question is, what is an STLC? So just like developers follow the software development life cycle, likewise the tester also follow the software testing life cycle, which is called as the software testing life cycle. It is a phenomenon of executing the testing activity in a systematic and planned way from the beginning of the project till the end of the project. It is a testing process which is executed in a sequence in order to meet the quality goals. It is not a single activity, but it consists of many different activities which are executed to achieve a good quality product. Life cycle is it is a simple term that refers to the sequence of changes from one form to another form. These changes can happen to a tangible or intangible thing. Every entity has a life cycle, and from its inception to its demise. In a similar fashion, software is also an entity, and the software testing life cycle, it is a life cycle from its inception, that is its development, to its demise, that is its maintenance phase. So there are 6 different phases in it. So let us see what are those. So there are the phase start with the requirement analysis, then there is test planning and test case development, and after that there is the test environment setup, and after that the test execution, the actual test execution takes place, and the last one is the test cycle closure. So let us now discuss each phase in detail. So the first one is requirement analysis. This is the very first phase of software testing lifecycle. In this phase, the team goes through the requirement document with both functional and non-functional details in order to identify the testable requirement. In case of any confusion, the QA team may set up a meeting with the client and the stakeholder in order to clarify their doubts. So once the QA team is clear with the requirement, they will document the acceptance criteria, and then it will get it approved from the customers. So there are certain activities and deliverables that are in respect to requirement analysis. So the activities are analyzing the system requirement specification from the testing point of view, preparing the RTM, that is the requirement traceability matrix, then identifying the testing techniques and testing types, prioritizing the feature which needs to be focused on, the high priority ones and the low priority ones, analyzing that automation feasibility, so whether automation is required or not, that is also done, and identifying the details about the testing environment which actual testing will be done. And the deliverables will be the RT, that is the requirement traceability matrix, and the automation feasibility report. So the next stage is the test planning. Test planning phase starts soon after the completion of the first stage, that is the requirement analysis phase. In this phase, the QA manager or the lead will prepare the test plan and test strategy document. As for these documents, they will also come up with testing effort estimations. So activities involved in test planning are estimation of testing effort, selection of testing approach, preparation of the test plan, test strategy document, so resource planning and assigning roles and responsibility to them, and selection of the testing tools which will be used for testing. And the deliverables are test plan document, test strategy document, and the best suited testing approach. So different approach are there, like waterfall, agile. So based on that, one has to be selected. The number of resources, skill required, and their roles and responsibility all have to be decided in this phase. And also the testing tools according to the market and the customer needs. We have to take one testing tool and we have to decide on that. So the next stage is the test case development, or we can also call it as test design. In this phase, the QA team will write the test scenarios and the test cases. They also write test script for automation if required. If automation is in scope, then they will write the automation test script also. Verification of both the test cases and test script are done by the peers, that is the peer review. And creation of the test data is also done in this phase. So the activities involved are creation of test script or test cases, and verification of test cases and automation script, and creation of test data that will be required for testing purposes. So the deliverables will be test cases, test script if for automation if it is required, and test data. The next stage after this is the test environment setup. So before you go for the actual execution, you need to set up the environment. So this phase includes the setup or installation process of the software and hardware, which is required for the testing of the application. In this phase, the integration of the third-party application is also carried out if it is required. After setting up the required software and hardware, the installation of the build is tested. Once the installation of build is successful and complete, the test data is generated. So the test data can be generated in test environment as well as the test design phase. After the creation of test data, the smoke testing is executed on the build in order to check whether the basic functionality are working fine or not. This phase can be done in parallel with the test case development phase also, as I said it earlier. So the activities involved in test environment setup are: as per the requirement and architecture document, the list of required software and hardware is prepared, and the test bed that it is being set up for the testing and the creation of test data. Also, the installation of the first build and execution of the smoke test. So deliverables are: the test environment setup is ready. The test data that is needed for testing that should be created and it should be ready, and the results of smoke testing should be published. So after this, the next stage, that is the test execution. So it is beginning after the test execution phase. Sorry, the test environment setup. Once the test environment setup is done, the test execution actually begins. In this phase, the test cases are executed in the testing environment. While the execution of the test cases, the QA team may find bugs which will be reported against the test cases. This bugs has to be fixed by the developer and it should be retested by the QA, and then they should publish the status report. So the activities involved in test execution are: execution of test cases, reporting the test results, logging in the defect for the failed test cases, verification and retesting of the defect, which sometimes also include regression testing, and the closure of defects. And the deliverables which are expected are: test execution report, updated test cases with the results, and the bug report. So lastly, we come to the last stage, that is the test cycle closure. In order to start the test cycle closure activity, the test execution phase should be completed first. In test cycle phase, the QA team will meet and discuss about the testing artifacts. And the whole intent of this discussion is to learn lessons from the bad practices, which will be helpful for us in the future projects. So the activities are to evaluate the test completion criteria. So we should be sure that all the requirements have been tested out. And it can be done with the help of the RTM metrics that we prepared in the test planning phase. And documentation of the learning from the project, analyzing the test result to find out the distribution of the severe defects, and the test closure report preparation should start in this phase. The deliverable will be only the test closure report. So the 6 phases consist of the whole software testing life cycle. That is beginning with the requirement analysis, followed by test planning and test design. After that, the test environment setup, then the actual test execution, and the test closure. So that's all for software testing life cycle. And a little bit about myself. I own a site named Let's Learn, where I like to post technical stuff, and also I have a YouTube channel named Geeky Rabbit. So we have started this video tutorial for manual testers, and we'll be coming up with different stuffs related to the manual testing in our upcoming videos. So thanks for today, and that's it.